I have 2 more scenes of a storyboard episode to complete, a draft of a novel I need to complete, and working on a magazine team. And what do? Start an entire review series to add onto the workload. Quality life decisions, man. Heyo, Poofa-muffins, it's ller Guardian here. So I've always wanted to do reviews, plus those silly satire videos that I do on occasion. Why not start with The Stolen Hope? It's one of the few series I watch regularly and actually retain the information within the episodes. Plus, I frequently talk with the creator Lem, so I have some good background knowledge. Now, my reviews may not be per episode, but rather a general review of the series overall, and maybe specifics on the most recent episode. Many animated series are created by people who have not fully graduated school, so grammar mistakes, unless super aggravating, don't bother me as much. Heck, even as a magazine writer, I've been known to be super clunky in my own writing. Remember, no series or critique is perfect. I'm just here to give my opinions and give personal examples on how to improve the problems within a story. With that said, let's review The Stolen Hope. First, let's start off with the actual art and animation. For an animated series, this is extremely important. Just like a book cover, the actual art is what catches the viewer's eyes or someone just clicking through the thumbnails on YouTube. Now, if you're a long-time watcher of the series, you know the first couple of episodes were fine art-wise. I actually remember auditioning for the first casting call and thinking, okay, the art's fine. It's not bad, but not great. By the way, I did not get casted that first time. I guess Lem just didn't want a piece of this sexy voice. Or wasn't ready yet. Anyways, this review is not going to be focused on the past episodes, but rather the present. As the series progresses, the art has improved every time. To me, the color choices are what really sell the atmosphere. The shading and the backgrounds give off these cool color feels, and I am a complete sucker for cool colors. I love the purple blue skies, and the shaded stills every once in a while are awesome. Also, can I just say that I adore the character designs in this series? They're simple, but unique to each character. The animation has actually gotten more cartoonish over time, and it actually fits the backgrounds much better. The colors are always bright, and I can tell the characters apart. But that's for a different video. However, the few critiques I have for the art are these. The castle scenes, background-wise, are a little lacking. Now, if the castles are supposed to be as barren and have a lack of decorations as the art conveys, more shading would probably help tell the audience that the buildings are supposed to be not very lavish and just kind of blank. Cracks and mold in the art castle would show how the kingdom is not well maintained. Little fixes like that and little details could definitely improve both of the castles. And yes, sometimes weird stills are left a little too long on screen, and sometimes the mouths aren't open when they're speaking, but those can be seen as nitpicks as many YouTube series do this as well. Next, the plot. It's pretty much your basic plot for many wolf, dog, cat, and other animal stories. The beginning, of course, is very similar to other series, but that's just it. Most series do this, and I have seen a couple plot lines for the first couple of episodes. 1, the main character goes off to a train somewhere. 2, the character starts out running away from something and ends up in an entirely new place. Or 3, the character loses their memory. This one ticks me off the most. As you can see, this problem isn't a Stolen Hope problem, but almost every series has a problem with their pilot, usually. Kudos to those creators that have avoided these tropes so far. The specific problems in the story for THS are the details. Without being able to read Lem's comments or chatting with her, the powers, limitations, motivations, and lore can be very confusing, or not just conveyed well at all. For example, Jackson's curse being activated wasn't very well explained, and Vivian's curse activation wasn't even mentioned. If the story details didn't rely on having to find information outside the episodes, it would be fine. Audio. Honestly, I don't have much to say about this. I'm usually quite picky when it comes to sound and voice quality in series, but so far Lem has gotten better, and so has the voice actors on improving the quality. The audience, who composes a lot of the music, does an excellent job, and the other song choices fit the scenes very well. Every now and then a line might be said flat, or a character's drawn expression is a little off compared to the tone of their voice, but it's really not a complaint, more of an observation. Also, this is more of a personal nitpick, but is it just me, or does Vector's lines for Eris get less and less intimidating? Like in the first couple of episodes, his voice is very gruff and low.
She? I told you to find a male.
And now it's...
She can block out my power and use them for her personal desires.
Maybe it's just me, but I prefer gruff redneck Eris more. Characters. Now for ll Guardian, characters are what sell a story for me. If you've got good characters, you keep me watching. What The Stolen Hope does great is character interaction. Not every scene is characters spewing out exposition or forwarding the plot. One of my favorite episodes is when they're in the training camp. It doesn't move the plot along that much, but it gives time for the characters to play off each other and develop a little more. Now I'm going to say my choice for the 3 best characters and why. Maxwell. Now I know this is a weird choice, but let me say I really appreciate the lack of background we get on this guy. Sometimes the flashback episodes can be taken the wrong way, as to feel sorry for the villains, or heaven forbid if people in the comments thinks it justifies their actions. Maxwell's motivations are clear without flashbacks, and without a sob story makes him even more intimidating, as the audience doesn't know his weaknesses, and he's kind of an enigma. Dusk. Out of all the trainers, Dust is the best written. Her personality is always clear in each line delivery and the way it's written. She's not complex per se, but the tiny bits of detail here and there as the story progresses is subtle and nice. Eris. Of course we gotta talk about the edgy loaf. Not only is he my favorite character design of the series, but he actually has the most development of all the characters. His character goes a complete 180 on itself, but I won't spoil it here. I will acknowledge Eris's backstory is kind of predictable, as it is one I have seen many times before, but it's written in a way that's not unbearable to watch. Actually, his flashback episodes are some of the best written, so I'll give it a pass. Now for my 3 least best characters. Frey and Vesta. I'm going to count these 2 characters as one because I see them together most of the time. The problem I have with these 2 is there's just a lack of development. I wouldn't care if they stay flat characters, but they just are not on screen long enough for me to care about them. Also, Frey's design kind of reminds me of another character vaguely, but I'll talk about some of the designs later. Jackson. I know, boo me now, but honestly, I never found Jackson very interesting. Even from my satirical video, you could tell I saw him as the typical romance partner to the main character. There were attempts to make him interesting, but he overall came off as flat, and spoilers, I didn't find his death that impactful to me personally. However, his death will definitely progress the story, but I feel if he rejected the idea of war a little more and perhaps more personal interactions with other characters besides Lunas, his death might have moved me somewhat. Joseph. He was just there. Yep. Also, Vivian's a turd nugget. Here are nitpicks in other categories, and this is going to be the part where I focus on episode 10 or the latest episode. 1. The fur theory doesn't make sense to me. Sure, you can tell me Lem, Eris, and Maxwell are Russian blues, but I've never seen a Russian blue with stripes before. Also, some of the background characters do have neon or unnatural colors now and then, so the world building is broken by some of the characters. If a design doesn't fit in with the rules already established, don't use it. 2. In the most recent episode, Eris being upset about Jackson's death seemed out of character. Don't get me wrong, Devin did an awesome job portraying the emotions, but for the story, the scene was misguided. There was never a hint that Eris actually liked Jackson. In fact, he wanted him to die as a kid, forcibly gave him the curse, and then he found him in his territory and he was surprised, but not really happy. If there had been an added scene where he was training with him, where they're talking or if there was more talking with each other, a clue could have been added that Eris actually grew to care for him, but it wasn't believable for me and it just seemed kind of forced. 3. The dialogue can be a little off sometimes. The way characters talk to each other, they sometimes respond out of character, or the answer is completely cryptic. I wouldn't mind the cryptic talk if it was a pompous or a purposely mysterious character, but overall it's slowly improving. My advice would be to read the dialogue parts out loud and check for anything that sounds odd or unnatural. Honestly, dialogue comes naturally to me, so I'm not sure how to exactly fix the problem. 4. Jackson's powers are not used in episode 10. I wanted to see some demon wolf action, but I felt I was cheated out of something really good. Also, if Jackson couldn't control it, Wouldn't he have turned into a demon if Vivian was attacking him? And then kicked her butt? 5. Eris's speech to his kingdom wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the focus of the scene. However, perhaps it would have been better to start out the episode with Eris in the background speaking while Vixie and Owen were conversing. Then the speech's flaws wouldn't be as noticeable since it wasn't a focus. 6. The fight scene animation was stellar, but the lack of scratching noises and fighting cats in the background made it a little slow, especially when no one was talking. Now, the first episode in my series has a lot of background noise during the battle sequence.
Chico!
It does sound a little over the top, almost a World War II vibe, but it keeps the action going while the characters aren't speaking. Overall, I really enjoy The Stolen Hope. Not only are the episodes great, but the followers of the series are very supportive and the fan art is absolutely amazing. If you want to see an animation series that drastically improves over time and has some great color choices and character interactions, I would definitely suggest watching it. Also check out the Nightmare reviews. She does reviews regularly on Sunday and does much more detailed episode-to-episode reviews. Her channel will be in the description. Give me suggestions in the comments for the next series review, and it might be the next video. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, subscribe for new videos, and I'll see you, Poofa Muffins, in the next video. Finn.